Britain's Queen Elizabeth comes to Ireland. First visit by a British monarch since our independence, but as we know, not everybody happy about it. Majority people have no problem, but still some people not happy about it. And a group of people from County Sligo and Donegal will be among those actively protesting during the visit. They're members of the Republican Socialist éirígí group, and Gerry Casey is a member of éirígí in Sligo. Good morning to you, Gerry. Thanks for joining us this morning. Why are you going to Dublin next week? Is it a personal thing on your behalf, or do you have to do it as a member of this group?
No, I mean, as a group, éirígí are opposed to this visit, and we've made that clear, not just in recent weeks, but we've been campaigning over the years against any visit to Ireland by the British head of state. It's not our first visit to Ireland, it's our first visit to this state, and when she has visited the 6 counties, we've also engaged in protests against her.
And what's the big deal? Why is it so objectionable to have an 85-year-old woman come to Ireland?
Well, I mean, the age of the person has absolutely no relevance to it. At the end of the day, she's the British head of state, she's the Commander-in-Chief of the British Army. 5,000 of her troops continue to occupy the 6 northeastern counties of Ireland. Her troops continue to occupy and kill civilians in places around the world.
But we know all that. But it's not. I know, but is that not the rhetoric of the past, Gerry, which so many people want to forget about and leave in the past?
This is happening now, Niall. This isn't about the past. This is actually happening now. There are 5,000 British troops still stationed today, just up the road from us. No, Niall. It's nothing to do with the past. It's here and now. It's the here and now of it.
Okay. She was invited, as we've said so many times before, our own president, the president who represents you and me and everybody else, she extended the invitation.
She did, and we disagree with her for doing that, because, as I said, I mean, if you only look at, as well, you put aside her role as the Commander-in-Chief of the British Army, I mean, the institution that she represents is a sectarian institution. No Catholic could be a member of the royal family. Any member of the royal family married a Catholic.
But why would that bother you, Gerry? Why do you care about something like that?
Why do I care about sectarianism?
No, about being able to marry into the royal family.
Society. Very nice.
Yeah, but why would you care about a Catholic not being allowed to marry into the royal family? Is it really that big an issue? Is it really something you feel strongly about, that you'd be standing on the streets of Dublin next week?
As I said, the main opposition to this visit is in terms of the occupation of the 6 counties, British imperialism, which is happening. I mean, at the minute, the British troops are still in Afghanistan. Civilians are being killed over there. It's also the whole concept of the English monarchy is that, quite basically, the royal family are parasites on working class people in Britain.
All right. Well, but
they live on the back.
All right, but that's a matter for the British people, is it not? I mean, why should you or any other Irish person care about the monarchy and what it stands for in England? But are you protesting because of the situation in the north of Ireland, or is it because of what happened in the past, or is it a combination of everything?
Oh, it's a combination, as I say. I mean, there are still issues in terms of from the past that still need to be dealt with, and I mean, in particular, the day that Windsor will arrive in Dublin is the anniversary of the Dublin Monaghan bombings, which to this day the British government refused to cooperate with all the inquiries set up by this state to get to the bottom of the role of Mrs. Windsor's troops and British intelligence in those bombings.
What about all the atrocities which were carried out in the UK? Of which she is head over several decades. What about that?
I mean,
she never got an apology in most cases.
I don't see what. I mean, the comparison here is she's the head of those British troops. She's the commander-in-chief of those people that carried out bombings in Dublin city centre, and to this day she is preventing. Her troops are preventing. Her government are preventing the truth be known and justice to be got for the people and for the families of the victims of those bombings. But as I said, the main purpose, the main opposition to this visit is in terms of, this is an attempt to try to normalise the occupation of the 6 counties, to normalise the partition of our country. And if while there are sections of Irish society who might roll over and welcome that and are happy to see our capital city
when you say
shut down for days.
All right, but when you say sections, Gerry,
in one of our cities. Like.
But when you're saying sections, you're talking about the vast majority of people in this country, including all political parties, even Sinn Féin to a certain extent. They didn't outrightly oppose the visit. They're saying it's not appropriate at the present time, but I don't think any of their members will be protesting next week.
I would actually think that probably you will find that there will be, and I would encourage them that regardless of whether their leadership organises any demonstrations against it, we'll be organising a host of demonstrations starting on Sunday, when we'll be setting up the Irish Freedom Camp at the Garden of Remembrance. On Wednesday we'll be organising a march on Dublin Castle, and I mean this is one of the most, if you want to say, grotesque things about the visit. On Wednesday evening, May the 18th, they're hosting a lavish banquet in Dublin Castle to honour the British head of state. And what you're going to have is hundreds of Ireland's wealthiest political and business people who are going to be dining out on the best of food and wine. As communities, the length and breadth of this country are having a job keeping a roof over their head and having food on their tables.
Okay,
they're going to spend more than €20 million.
Okay, I'm sure you're going to say it's not like, but how would you feel if, when President McAleese goes over to England the next time on a visit, that there are numerous protests against her visit? Would you be comfortable with that or not?
I don't believe that Mrs McAleese has any troops occupying any part of England, Scotland or Wales.
Is it going to be a peaceful protest?
Well, I would hope so. I mean, I would encourage that the only problems in terms of not being a peaceful protest will stem from the Gardaí. And all the protests I've been at as an éirígí member, the only violence I've seen has emanated from behind Garda lines, and I would encourage them also to ensure that the protests are peaceful.
Okay, I'll read out
It's our intention that they're peaceful. We want to send a message out to the world that while our political and business leaders might be fawning over a sectarian monarch who occupies part of our country.
Okay, I'll just read out
for everybody.
All right, so some people are supporting you, some people aren't. I'll just read out some of the comments. éirígí should be ashamed of themselves. There were many an Irish family reared on an English wage when immigration. Sorry, a text just jumped. When many an Irish family were reared on an English wage when immigration was at its highest in Ireland, and this is why there's still a lot of trouble in Ireland today with people like this. What would you say to that?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not being funny, but I mean that's absolutely rubbish. I mean, this has absolutely nothing to do with being anti-English, anti-British. Many English people, many British people are opposed to the monarchy. Many of them are opposed to their country continuing to occupy part of our country. Many of them are opposed to their government's wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and elsewhere. This is about the head of state of the British government. I mean, are those people suggesting that Mrs Windsor paid those Irish people's wages? Of course she didn't. In fact, the Irish people that were over there working paid through their taxes to keep Mrs Windsor in her wealthy and extravagant lifestyle.
Okay, and you mentioned the Royal Banquet, which is going to happen as well, and Joe Higgins suggested a few weeks ago that the Queen should contribute to the cost of her accommodation when she's here. Would you go so far as to say that or not?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to cost the Irish taxpayer is going to pay €20 million to provide the food and wine and security and everything to bring her around here at a time that they say they don't have the money. I mean, there are cutbacks in special needs assistance, in our health service, and our education service, right across the board. They say they have no money. Yet here, at the drop of a hat, they can produce €20 million to bring a sectarian monarch over here and trips her around the country for 4 or 5 days.
Okay, tell me, will you be protesting when President Obama's here as well?
Yes, we will. Yeah.
For the same reason, occupation of troops occupying other countries and so forth. The same reason.
Absolutely, the American imperialism. We protested at the visit of George Bush when he was at Hillsborough. We'll be protesting at his visit as well.
Okay, yeah. And there are many texting in, and I'll come to those comments in a moment, to say that Gerry and people like him should forgive and forget, welcome the Queen with open arms, and think about the benefits it's going to do to this country tourism-wise.
Well, I mean...
Do you see any benefits at all in the Queen coming here, Gerry?
Well, in terms of tourism, just take that first of all. I mean, this is the thing that's been thrown about the whole time, saying that it's going to boost tourism. But how exactly do you boost tourism when you're shutting down key tourist attractions? To facilitate this visit, Dublin Zoo is going to be closed. The Garden of Remembrance is already closed. Croke Park Museum will be closed. Trinity College will be closed. Dublin City Centre is going to be...
But don't tell me you're upset by Dublin Zoo being closed because the Queen is coming over.
No. The point I'm making is people are saying this is going to boost tourism, right? You're closing key tourist places.
Right, okay.
It's making a mockery of their argument that this is going to boost tourism.
Okay, lots of comments. We'll come to them in a moment. Gerry, many thanks for joining us, and we may talk to Gerry next week after the Queen's visit. Gerry Casey, member of éirígí there from Sligeach.